You know, I remember we talked to Andrew Breitbart in Brian Kilmeade's studio not that long ago, and I remember he was, running around the country doing a ton of interviews at the time, and he talked about wanting to get home. He hadn't been back to L.A. in a while. He was very excited to see his wife and his 4 children, very young, to have lost him at the age of 43 years old. And this is a shocking piece of news this morning for all of his friends and his colleagues and everybody who has worked alongside him all these years. I want to bring in Monica Crowley, radio talk show host, of course, who had been joining us on another story this morning. We perhaps will get to that a little bit later. But Monica, I want to get your thoughts on this news. Shocking news this morning.
It really is, Martha. And I think before we say anything more about Andrew Breitbart, we all need to offer our prayers and our thoughts to his family, his wife, his 4 beautiful young children, because certainly they're all suffering right now. So our thoughts and prayers go out to them. Andrew was a friend of mine. I've known him for several years now. And I just want to echo what Jonah said. He was so full of life. I mean, he lived life to the fullest, whether he was on the air, off the air, working on his websites, breaking stories, just hanging out with friends. I have known very few people in my life who live life to the hilt the way Andrew Breitbart did. I think it's a huge loss to the conservative movement. He was a social media pioneer, started working with Drudge and sort of broke down all kinds of boundaries and barriers in that regard on Twitter, Facebook, you name it. He was out there fearlessly doing the work that so many in the mainstream media would not do. I think this is a huge loss, of course, to his family, but I think to the rest of us and any of us who are interested in the truth.
Yeah, I thought it was fascinating what Jonah Goldberg said moments ago about how he was a modern conservative in a feisty way that reminded him in many ways of a 60s, progressive in terms of the energy that he brought to the fight and how deeply he felt that his cause was right and just in exposing what he saw as a very corrupt basis of liberalism in this country, and he spoke so passionately about that. I want to read some of the passage from Andrew Breitbart's new book that is on the website, at the Big Government website right now, and I just want to read the rest of it because I think it adds to remembering him right now. He said, 3 years ago, I was mostly a behind-the-scenes guy who linked stuff on a very popular website. He's, of course, referring to Drudge there. I always wondered what it would be like to enter the public realm, to fight for what I believe in. I've lost friends, perhaps dozens, but I have gained hundreds, thousands, who knows, of allies. At the end of the day, I can look at myself in the mirror, and I sleep very well at night.
He was a different kind of leader, Martha, and he was an unconventional guy. No matter how you looked at it, he was an unconventional guy, and he began his career in an unorthodox way and kept going with it. He took pride in his unorthodox ways, but it was always in the service of the truth. And he looked around and he saw mostly left-wing media not doing the job of telling the truth to the American people, and he saw a big opening there and decided to take it. And boy, did he take it with gusto. I mean, this is a guy who so courageously went up against the most powerful entities in the country, whether it was the White House or Congress or entrenched interests, and he exposed what they were doing and told the truth. I just had him on my radio show a couple of weeks ago talking about his book. He was an amazing guy, and I think he would want to be remembered first and foremost as a great father and husband, but also secondly as a truth teller.
And, as we were saying earlier, that fearlessness that you find in so few people to sort of rage against the machine and go up against powerful people in powerful positions that just clearly drove him in his life and in his work, Monica.
Absolutely. And, the other thing, Martha, and you sort of touched on this, is that he sort of came of age in the 1980s and 1990s, and he saw corruption all around him, and he saw that the media wasn't doing its job. And I think he also saw that the left was lying in a lot of cases to the American people and that they were using deceptive tactics. And he said, you know what, I'm going to tell the truth, but I'm not going to use the tactics of the left. I'm going to use truth-telling tactics. And that's what he did.
And you also tapped into this, his embracing. You look at some of the conservative leaders, the William F. Buckleys and, all of the people along the way. But Andrew Breitbart clearly embraced social media. He knew how to spread his message on the internet and sort of anticipated it and embraced it in a way that, really has been a leader for so many others who have followed in his path already.
Absolutely. He saw the power of the internet before most people did. He and Matt Drudge join forces and really revolutionized the way news and politics were covered on the internet. He saw the power of it to actually go over the heads of the established media and go right to the American people. The most successful politicians have understood that from back in the day. Andrew Breitbart, at the dawn of social media, at the dawn of the internet, saw that power to go straight to the American people and actually to international audiences, and had his hand right in there remaking how the internet would work and how we would all communicate with each other. And boy, did he revolutionize it.
Yeah.